Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. I am so excited about my guest, Dr. Leslie Hewitt, the president of CalChiro, the California Chiropractic Association. I couldn't be more thrilled to have you on my podcast this morning, Leslie.
Good morning, Liz. Thanks for inviting me. I'm so excited to spend the morning with you.
Me too. So one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you is because I've been watching you from afar for several years and just admiring the leadership and the collaboration in your heart for wanting to see women succeed in all areas of their life, specifically in being an entrepreneur. So what I want to do is talk to you today about what you want to share with us about women in leadership and where this came from. So I guess the first question I have for you is, who was the person, the woman that inspired you to want to get into this?
Well, it goes back to when I was a little girl, and this is actually a family story that my family shared. When you're sitting around the dining room table or the kitchen table as a family for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the fun stories start coming up. So my parents always shared the story of when I was a 2-year-old little girl. I would go out and I had really white hair, just like I do now. My dad used to call me Headlight because he said he could look down the street and literally see my head glowing, and he knew that I was out there. But I went out to the street and rallied all the little children and told them to go into their homes and get towels, because I wanted all the kids to put the towels around their neck as a cape so that they could all be superheroes. And so ever since I was a little girl, that has been a family story. And I've always been a leader. I say I'm a born leader. And another part of my story with that is I remember my dad coming out to bring me in for dinner. And I remember he leaned down to me because he could see all the little kids around me with their little superhero capes on. And he said to me, he goes, "You're bossy." That's what he said to me. He goes, "You're bossy, little girl." And I remember 2 years old, I remember thinking in my head, okay, you're my dad, you're my hero, but this seems like wrong information. I have an inner voice, innate wisdom, and something inside of me at a 2-year-old little girl, and it was such a young imprint. I remember saying, not all things are true. And I remember it was like this really big sort of 2-year-old vision of, oh my God, I have to be careful what people tell me, even though I love my dad and he's my hero. I'm not bossy. There's something else going on here. But I didn't know leadership. I didn't know that terminology. And so that story went through my family for decades at Thanksgiving dinner. And later in life, when I was an adult, I was able to go back to my dad and say, that was some really bad imprinting right there. You don't realize that I'm a leader. And my dad isn't around anymore. He passed on 5 years ago. But I'm happy to report my dad died thinking that his daughter was a little leader.
That is outstanding. I know it's kind of like that with me. I was always told that I was nosy, and I was like, that isn't right. I'm interested, and I'm interested.
And
curious and interested. And I want to know about you. I want to know about what makes you thrive and what I can do to support that. So that is a really cool story. And for you to know that at age 2, it is that divine innate intelligence that we talk about in chiropractic all the time that just gives us that knowing. So
yeah, and I think it's cute that you were called nosy, and I hope that you've converted that to curiosity, because curiosity and interested, when we find out what our power is, and that's your power, and we have a lot of other power, but it's interesting how that imprinting can happen at a very young age. And so I turned that leadership into, I am a natural collaborator. And so I basically, when I go into a room, I always say in my head, I want to connect, I want to collaborate, and I want to celebrate. Those are my 3 words. When I connect with anybody, my intention is that when we're together, we do those 3 things.
Absolutely incredible. And I think that that's the thing that I've noticed about you that has attracted me to you from a mentor-mentee perspective, because I wanted to create that same environment here in Orange County for the CalChiro organization. And when I became the president in 2014, I'd only been in practice like 5 years. And what I felt like we needed to do in Orange County was collaborate, become champions of each other. We're not in competition. There are 4 million people in Orange County that need the services that we have and the care that we want to give. And if you do Cox distraction or you do activator, just because I do Blair doesn't mean we're in competition. We can collaborate and treat people and refer to one another. And that, I think, raises the bar for our profession and for us individually to know that we're all trying to do this thing and help each other out.
Exactly. And that's the one thing that I've noticed about you, watching you from afar and close, is you're natural at it. So I want to thank you for what you've done in Orange County, because you've raised that area in California and you've really brought a new tone to the chiropractic profession because you bring that energy.
Well, thanks. It's just so exciting. And I just love being able to operate in the gifts that I've been given and see it become successful and see other people appreciate it. And that's what it's all about.
I agree.
So I want to ask you a question. I want to know, what woman has inspired you? Because you talked about your dad and you talked about your innate knowledge as a 2-year-old little girl rounding up the neighborhood kids. But what woman in your life has given you inspiration?
Well, early, again, in my childhood was my mother. And my mother was a champion for me. I had the best little girls' room in the neighborhood. It was like a princess room. My mother always held me up like her princess. And she's no longer with us. She is my first role model of a woman that was smart. She skipped 2 grades in school back in her day. She was independent, creative. When she was a young girl, she played on a baseball team way before women played sports. So she was very athletic. Our house was decorated gorgeously. So I have a beautiful home because she inspired, like, just surrounding myself with beauty and things that are luxurious. And she was just a really good woman. I've never heard my mother gossip. She had good friendships. She worked, so I saw her as a working mother. And so I would say from a very young adult, I had a very healthy relationship with another woman. And my undergrad is in psychology because I was so inspired by what drives our brain and what behaviors I want to reinforce. And since I got my undergrad in psychology and then became a doctor of chiropractic, I realized that our relationships to each other is what really helps guide who we are as people. Mm-hmm. So I would say my mother for sure. And then looking around, of course, Oprah really inspires me because she has used her fame and fortune to do really great things. I'm always looking for women in our community, in Hollywood, in politics, and in my girlfriends. I tend to choose women that have influence and impact and want to give back and serve. And those are the kind of women that I'm really drawn to.
That's outstanding. I love that you mentioned Oprah. I've been listening to her podcast recently, and I really love Brene Brown too.
Yes.
And they had this incredible conversation about shame. Obviously, Brene Brown is a renowned shame researcher, and the things that they talk about, it's so true. And it's like, you know it when you hear it, but it just brings this sense of like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm meant to be. And I don't have to tolerate bad behavior. And I love both of those women so much. They've brought so much clarity to my life. It's really cool. Tell me your chiropractic story, because I know you went to undergrad, you studied psychology, but what brought you into chiropractic?
So I got hit by a truck when I was 16 years old. And I literally mean I was running for a bus and boom, got hit by a truck and ended up in a coma, ended up in the hospital. And I came out with 0 neck rotation. And I've never been able to turn my neck. That was 16 years old. And that was back in a time when I couldn't make my own healthcare decisions. So, of course, the MDs, all they want to do is throw a ton of drugs at a teenager. Well, at 18, I had a job, and one of my colleagues at lunchtime said, "Hey, I'm going to my chiropractor. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "Sure." Went and had my first neck adjustment. I was in. I was like, I'm doing this for life. I was like, wow, oh my goodness. This is the best thing that I've ever felt in 2 years. So I've been under regular care since I was 18 years old. And throughout my 20s, I had a corporate job for 10 years. And I used to walk from my corporate job at lunch hour once a week to get my neck adjusted. I'd get my full spine adjusted too, but the neck was the most profound, as you know. And I remember my first thought was, I would love to marry a chiropractor so I could get this done like every day.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to be a chiropractor. What am I thinking? So I had that neck thought. And so I went to chiropractic college, and I'd never heard the philosophy the whole time I was getting adjusted. I went to chiropractic college, and as soon as I went to chiropractic college and heard like that it's more than just cracking bones, it's stimulating the central nervous system and improving function, increasing range of motion, and all the other things that it does. It boosts your immune system, and it's good for kids and babies. And I was just like, I was thinking like, man, I just landed in Hogwarts, like a Harry Potter magical world. And I became a chiropractor and got right out there in practice. 20 years later, here I am. And I think it was divine intervention. Absolutely. I cannot think of a better profession to support me as a human being on all levels, from my spiritual, my psychosocial, my lifestyle. The philosophy has moved into my life in a way that has enriched me and my community beyond measure. So that's my chiropractic story.
That's awesome. And it's interesting that it all started with an insane, horrific accident. And sometimes when I meet patients that come into my clinic, they come in because of accidents. And I say, I know that this sounds silly, but that accident was a blessing because it's what got you here. And it's what's allowing you to get connected above, down, inside out. And then their lives turn on and they become able to thrive and be the best person for themselves and their family. And so I always say chiropractors are healing the world one spine at a time.
Yes.
I love it. So now that you have been the president for Cal Chiro for 2 years, where do you want to see the organization go? And what do you want to see come from it? Because you've had such a tremendous impact with what you've been able to do the last 2 years in our organization.
Yes. So as you know, we restructured from the ground up. We took a look at all the things that weren't working and we hired experts. And what we found was our organization was operating like an old corporate dinosaur. We weren't racing for relevance, as we were told. The book Race for Relevance was some of our guidance. Another good book that I've been referring to by author David Kidder is The Startup Playbook. And what he did is he went and interviewed all the best startups in the United States and Silicon Valley. And he spoke to us at Cal Chiro and shared the 5 top traits of the best startups. So as president, I've been running the California Chiropractic Association as if it's a brand new startup. So we literally tore this organization apart, right down to the paperwork, the bylaws, the policy, staff, how we were doing things, how we were lobbying, our legislative approach. We were looking at everything, our website, our logo, our branding. And what I felt as a woman, and we've been hearing this for years, I know you have as well, is it's an old boys club. And it had that image. And there are not a lot of women that are stepping in because they're raising families and kids and busy practices. But we needed to get this organization to a relevant look and feel for the marketplace as it is today. So I'm happy to report we've got a new logo. We've spent many, many years, even prior to me, we've had 3 presidents prior to me. So we're in our second 3-year strategic plan now. So we're going into 6 years of doing this. So I'm at the 4-year mark of this 6-year plan that we've done. And we're now at the point where it looks inclusive, it feels inclusive. We are open to diversity. We've got a lot of different techniques and philosophies, and we have 3 different chiropractic colleges in the state of California that we've got to represent them equally. All 3 chiropractic colleges are very different and unique, just like each of our practices. We have over 50% of our grads coming out of our chiropractic colleges are women. And we've got to bring that collaborative spirit into this organization that represents women. And women are telling us that they're doing their practices different. They're not working full time. They're not doing high volume. They're blending in family and community. A lot of women do a lot of community stuff and mommy and me stuff. You know that personally. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our young female grads are saying, I need an organization that represents me. Our millennials are saying, we need more technology. You don't have enough technology for us. We want technology. We want online classes. We want an app. We want a website that has a very robust functioning tool that you can get a lot accomplished just online. So we've achieved all that and we're still moving forward.
You know what? I tell my patients all the time, structure dictates function.
I love that. I say that too.
And so because I was part of the reorganization from the ground up, like you're talking about, it was an incredible opportunity for me to observe how to make that happen, because I was in as the secretary at the Orange County level and I watched this dinosaur-like process happen. And then I became the president. And the first year I was president, I would sit in the back and there would be 33 people sitting around. And I was just like, what is actually getting accomplished? Second year president, it all got changed. And it was so refreshing. And it felt like we were able to have traction.
Yes.
And make a difference. And I actually took all the training that I observed from the Cal Chiro organization and applied it to the Blair Chiropractic Society. And we got lean and mean and super effective too. And it's like now we have a board of 7 and it used to be 13. And we have meetings and they actually produce things. So I couldn't be more thrilled to have been a part of watching something have to change. And it went really smoothly. And yeah, of course, there's always going to be a little bit of trepidation because nobody really likes change, but it needed to happen. And it's been, I think, remarkable. And I love that you were speaking to 50% of women coming out of chiropractic school, because for me, when I came out of chiropractic school, I literally left Davenport, Iowa, Palmer College, and I moved to California. And that first year, I had my second daughter. And so I was like, I have to set the standard for myself now of how to be a mom, be a wife, be a chiropractor, and have that blend well. And I tend to be a bit of a workaholic. I tend to be a bit of a go-getter. So I did have to kind of like step back these last couple of years and realize like, hey, wait a second. It's not all about my profession. My kids are watching me. And I love that you talked about your mom being a good role model as a working woman, because she gave you that original kind of ability to see that it is possible to have a career and be a mom and make it work. And I want to set that example for my daughters too. And so far it's working out. And my 8-year-old Michaela definitely wants to be a chiropractor when she grows up and be more excited.
That's awesome. I want to drop a word because you used it and it's a really powerful word. The old model of balance, and this is something for men and women, but especially for the women that are workaholics. I am too. And I can tell you that most women are, because we are multitaskers and our lists are this long every single day and we're always trying to do all these things. There's old language that women are still using and they're saying either I'm in balance or out of balance. And it's so linear, right? I'm in or I'm out. And I just want to just scratch that and say, and you used it, blend. Each day is a different blend. And when you wake up in the morning, there are some mornings where the blend is, I'm going to spend more time with the kids, or the kids are home from school today. So the majority of my day is going to be focused in the home with them. Maybe we'll go do some grocery shopping or go catch a movie or hang out with the kids. The next day, the kids may be in school. So your blend is, I got to get to the practice. I got to see my patients. I've got a ton of paperwork to do. There's things I need to do while the kids are at school. So I would just recommend that we start replacing the word balance to the word blend. And each day is a different blend. There's no imbalance or out of balance. It's just a blend. And I think that if you can wrap your head around that, then you won't beat yourself up so much when you feel overwhelmed. And what I hear from a lot of working moms is they feel guilty. When I'm at the practice, I'm guilty that I'm at the practice and not home with the kids. When I'm with the kids at home, I feel guilty because I'm not at the practice. So we've got to get rid of that guilt and that shame, as Brené Brown says.
Absolutely.
And start just enjoying the blend and being in the moment and the power of now, and just really celebrating the moment that you're in. And like you said, structure dictates function. I'm a huge advocate of creating a very structured calendar so that you have compartments. So my compartments are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm in the practice, 10 to 1, 3 to 6. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my Cal Chiro days. And I've given my staff at CCA or Cal Chiro Central and my committees and everybody else, like, call me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because that's when I am in my presidential role. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I'm full on in the practice. And then I also give myself a 2-hour lunch when I'm in the practice, because I need opportunity to go eat and work out and get some errands done. And then Saturdays and Sundays, here we are, right?
Yeah.
I'm open for spontaneous things like this. And because I'm so compartmentalized and I have so much structure, I have improved function.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
It just shows up every area of your life. And I really encourage people to do what you've just done and have that and be present. And I'm really enjoying this mindfulness practice that I've been in, self-compassion and mindfulness and being present and being aware in the moment and being 100% right now. We are doing this interview and we are 100% in it. And then when we're done, we can go to the next task that we have. It's, like you said, a beautiful blend. And it's really enjoying the process. So I have a question. My intern, Jared, is a 5th-term student at LACC, and he was with me yesterday afternoon, and I was preparing all of the behind-the-scene things that happen to get podcasts ready. And he asked me, how can men support women in leadership? And I thought that is a really good question.
That is a wonderful question. Thank you, Jared. Well, I'm in a relationship with an amazing man, and we've been together for 12 years, and I can say that he authentically holds space, and men are really good at holding space. What I mean by that is he supports me in being a president. He likes that I'm in a high-level position and getting stuff done. And he gives me a break in terms of, like, when I should be hanging out with him, I'm actually doing stuff like this. And there are times when he says, wow, you really put a lot of your time into CCA. And I said, that's what I signed up for, and that's what you signed up for. So I need your support in just supporting me and holding space. Now, in terms of the chiropractic men that are on my committees and on my executive board, and all the chiropractic men that are out there, what I have noticed that they are excellent at getting stuff done. And if we can just go back to primal brain function, right? Us women are gatherers. So while I'm doing all the lists, there's lists of things to do, like got to get in the trenches and structure this paperwork or get these things done. The men, what I have found is they're really good in their primal brain function. Like, they're the hunters. We're the gatherers. So the hunters, in that hunter primal brain function, they can get so much accomplished. So if I call up a couple of guys that I really trust and say, hey, I noticed this particular member has quit, or they're not happy, or we need to sort of pull them in a little bit, the men will get on a call and make that happen. The other thing I notice is a lot of men love the Superman archetype. And so I have found that if I can inspire a man to be my Superman, be my hero, and give them an opportunity to really be the hero in a certain situation, men love to feel validated and acknowledged. They love to be the hero. They love to protect and serve. And I really think us women can inspire that in them. And what I've learned as an older woman now too, is I'm not attached at how it gets done. If I say, hey, we're going in this direction, I need your support, can you guys go get this stuff done? What I've realized is send them out, let them get the job done, and let them get it done in their own way.
That's outstanding. It's so funny that you explained what just happened with the men on your team, because as I was making the list of everything that I needed to get done for today, Jared was texting me YouTube videos on how to make sure all of my technology worked. And this morning, I referred back to those tools to help me make sure that everything was going to work the way that it needed to. And so you literally described what happened, and you weren't even there.
And that's the same with Roy. Like, in the beginning of our relationship, I would say, hey, I got a list of like 20 things that need to get done. Here's some things that you're really good at. Could you get those things done? And in the beginning, he was a little resistant to me handing stuff off to him. And now he's like, hey, give me a list today. And what happens is I'll go away and come back and stuff like that. Like, he's a handyman. He's good with technology. He's stronger, so there's things that need to be moved around the house, and he can lift those things. If I need some stuff moved around in the garage, if I need the cars moved, if I need a couple of things done. And what it does is it actually relaxes me when he gets stuff done. So that's really cool. Then the other thing is, I don't know if you've done this, Liz, but we've done 5 languages of love. Mm-hmm. And my number one language of love is acts of service. He knows that that's really important to me. And I think the men that I work with have figured that out really quickly about me as well. If you just do something that supports me, that's the most loving act that you can do for me. And what I have found in my personal relationship and organizationally, if we can just figure out where each other's genius is, and just stimulate that so that everybody shows up as a hero. And it really goes back to me as a 2-year-old, right? I'm just getting everybody to put on their own cape so that they can all be their own hero.
That is so incredible. And one of my friends, Tracy Hazard, she is a Inc. columnist. She wrote an article about how important it is to be able to be a successful woman and to pick the right partner. So what you were just describing in Roy is exactly what I found in my husband, Michael. He is a champion and a complete supporter of everything that I'm passionate about. And for example, he's home with our girls this morning, knowing that I had to come here and I want to do this podcast and get some work done today on a Saturday morning. And she wrote an entire article about if you choose the right partner, you're both going to thrive. Because both are going to be supporters and encouragers of the things like you were just talking about. So I think it's really important to have a good partnership. And spoke to men wanting to be heroes and wanting to be a protector. That doesn't diminish a woman's power. It doesn't diminish our ability to rise up and be a leader. In fact, I think it enhances it. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do. And even if we can bring in the LGBT community into this conversation as well, a man-woman role, it's about partnership.
Absolutely.
And being like a power couple with whoever your couple is, or right? It's all about just being that power couple. And what I have found is when you do get the right partner, it's amazing how it just creates momentum in your life because there's a division of labor. You get to support each other where here you are in your office this morning, your husband's home with the kids. And it's just it's a beautiful blend because now you've got another partner that starts blending all of the things that need to be done. And it actually enhances both people in the world. And you're a powerful woman. So you need a guy that's going to help you so that you can really raise up your voice. And I just got to say, your voice is needed out there with young women, raising families, working full time. You definitely have a mission and a purpose with your podcast. So I think it's wonderful. I just want to say thank you, Michael.
Yeah, no kidding. Thanks, Michael. I love you. I think that's an outstanding place to end our conversation.
Great.
We had a lovely conversation today. I'm so thankful that you took time out of your morning and that we were able to collaborate together and blend this beautiful morning for this great information. And my listeners, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want to know more about what Leslie's doing, Leslie, can you tell me how to find you?
So a really easy place to find me is you can take a look at a couple of my websites. The first one is the Wow Talks, and it's thewowtalks.com. You can also visit calchiro.org, which is our chiropractic website. If you're anywhere else in the state of California and you're looking for a chiropractor, you can go to that website and find a chiropractor near you. And then my personal practice website is anatomypower.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for a delightful conversation, and I look forward to doing a lot more collaborating with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.